The Mayo Experience.
That Mayo Experience. That Mayo Experience. That Mayo Experience. Experience.
Welcome to the Pat Mayo Experience, presented by DraftKings 2021 Week 12 Thanksgiving DraftKings Picks and preview by position. Remember to smash the like button for the episode. Subscribe to Mayo Media Network and hit up the newsletter. It's free. Down in the description, it has all the snaps, game notes, everything that you need to get yourself going for the week, and it'll just get sent directly to you. It's a huge save on Sunday evenings. I mean, when I'm doing up all the information on the games and collecting all the snaps, just send it right out to you. Then you don't have to go search it. It goes straight to your email. Highly suggest that you do that. The Listeners League will be available, I'm thinking, on Tuesday. It'll be for the main slate this week, not the Thanksgiving slate, and it'll be a smaller contest too because people never play on Thanksgiving because they have things to do like fighting with their family. So I figured if we're going to be in a confrontational mood because it's a confrontational holiday, Davis Mattek from sportsgrid.com is on the line. What's going on, man?
You know, I just am prepared for the reality that all my fantasy teams don't have CeeDee Lamb and are probably not going to have Amari Cooper this week, and you know, that is not particularly making me very thankful or grateful this week.
One of the best things that I've done for myself was be a part of runthesims.com, and I feel like it's really going to help me out on the Thanksgiving slate. Like, I never played Showdown before, but the simulator on runthesims.com for Showdown slates in particular, because Justin is the one putting in all the projections, and besides, like, your boy Drewby, Justin is, like, the guy at Showdown slates, so I've actually been winning doing that, and I feel like these smaller slates are really where optimizers and like just even tweaking projections a little bit end up becoming a huge advantage.
Yeah, I mean, small slates, basically the smaller the slate gets, the more it is about how the pieces fit together, how you're being different from field. It's just much more about game theory than it is about picking the best plays, right? You know, on a 12-game slate, like we just had in week 11, the Millie Maker winner had a 27% cumulatively owned team. Like, it really was just a slate where it was about picking the best plays. And that really just, that does not work on a 3-game slate.
Well, it doesn't. Like, the best, and it's funny because I'm going to mention the strategy like I do every time, and it has not worked. The biggest cash I've ever had in DraftKings NFL was the Wishbone, I want to say in like 2016, where I just overloaded the Lions in the first game, and it was like I played like, because it's me, I played like Theo Riddick at $3,300. I think he had 2 touchdowns, and all I did after that was just late swap onto all the chalk the rest of the way through, and I ended up winning a couple $1,000, and it was great. It hasn't really worked out since because the Lions have been so putrid over the years, but I do think that if you do want to get a little bit contrarian, get contrarian in the first game and see if it works out for you. Like, take your flyer piece, take a Khalif Raymond, take Marquise Goodwin, whoever it might be from that first game. And then if they hit, you're so far ahead of the game in terms of being able to go on to the most popular plays, the good plays on this slate, because then everyone else has to kind of scrounge and try to replicate the points that you have from all your cheap guys.
Yeah, I mean, that is just an example of game theory, though, because you used, if you have low owned guys who do very well in the first game or even in the second game, then you can afford to play the chalk. You can afford to play Michael Gallup. You can afford to play Alvin Kamara or Mark Ingram, depending on who starts there. You can play Stephon Diggs. And if you have guys, for example, if you have guys in your lineup from the Dallas Las Vegas game who do poorly, well, then you can't play Diggs and you have to play Manny Sanders, and you can't play Mark Ingram and you have to play Matt Breida or Devin Singletary. So it's not great for family time, but that is basically the way you should be approaching the slate.
So if people want to know, we are doing 2 spread shows this week, one for Thanksgiving only, and then one in its regularly scheduled programming coming out on Wednesday morning with the secret link in the newsletter that will come out on Tuesday evening. So again, subscribe to the newsletter and go to that. Leave a rating and review on Apple Podcasts too, by the way. We're in that time of year. We got like 5 days left to accumulate as many as possible. How about this? If you leave an Apple podcast review on the Pat Mayo Experience right now, I'm going to give 3 people $100 that I'll pull out. So leave your Twitter handle in the review, 5 stars, something you enjoy about the show, and we'll just do it that way. So if you've already done one before, just leave another one or update the one that you have. If you've never done it before, you can be in the draw too, just by leaving a 5-star review on the Pat Mayo Experience on Apple Podcasts. Pick 3 people, and I'll give them out on the spread show next week. How about that? So we'll run it for basically just through December, and we'll be good to go. So please support the Pat Mayo Experience. Davis, no better way than to pay people to help you out in this regard.
No, I mean like if you want to get a marketing degree, you want to know what gets people motivated, pay them money. That's a pretty good deal. Like, well, that's a good call to action, as they might say. Yeah.
So 3 people, $100. I mean, who couldn't use $100? I could use $100, but it'll be worth it for me if we get these reviews that I can sell my ads for more, and then I can have fewer ads in the show. I don't need to glom them all together, because like it's like on the Takecast. You get like the dynamically inserted ads, right?
Correct. Yeah. Through Simplecast is the guy, the people who does our stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So I go like individually go sell my ads because I feel like I get a better return that way from it, because I cut out the middleman. But it's a grind. I gotta sell them for a whole bunch, then I have to sell too many, and then some days get overloaded, and I'm like, I didn't even check the schedule. It sucks when it comes down to that. So if people are wondering why there are sometimes too many ads in the show, that's why. But this is also my living. I need to make the money. So maybe I can win a whole bunch of money on this slate. Let's talk running backs. You kind of mentioned Kamara at the top. Zeke is the highest priced running back on this slate. He's $8,000, but he's questionable to play. We think that he is going to play, but he is questionable. Kamara, no idea. It looked like he was trending towards playing last week. Didn't end up playing, and now it's a short week, so who knows with him. So that leaves DeAndre Swift at $7,300. Ingram, if Kamara is out, 62, becomes a great value. Montgomery, who played the highest snap share of any running back in football last weekend, $6,000 in a good matchup against Detroit. Josh Jacobs, Tony Pollard, Devin Singletary, Matt Breida. How is Matt Breida more than Zach Moss? How does that work?
Because Matt Breida is more explosive, I guess. I mean, he's playing a little bit more on the passing downs. And the whole thesis behind Zach Moss as a player was that eventually they would want Josh Allen to stop getting, smacked at the goal line, and they'd start handing off to Zach Moss, and that just says it's never come to fruition.
Well, for the second consecutive week, Breida has played more snaps than Moss, with Singletary leading the way. This is now a 3-headed backfield on a team that doesn't run, so that's a tough scene for all the Bills running backs. After that, you got like Kenyon Drake, and this is where this slate is probably gonna be won by like one of these guys, I'm guessing, where you have, Jamar Jefferson, we don't know if he's gonna play. Ryan Null, I guess Tariq Cohen's not going to play. Kenyon Drake, like, do any of these guys at the bottom, let's start off there, do anything for you?
Well, yeah, it would be Jamal Williams would be the guy who has the potential. If that game is basically just gross, Jamal Williams has not played for a month, and he came back and played in his first game yesterday. I guess people will be listening to this all week. So on Sunday, he only played 27% of the snaps. I mean, obviously that was just this awful game against Cleveland. Goof is probably not going to play. So we have the Tim Boyle situation, but Jamal Williams at stone running back minimum at 4,000. I think he pretty clearly looks like the guy who would have the potential to, get 12 or so touches, score a goal line rushing touchdown. Khalil Herbert, maybe too. I'm in on David Montgomery for sure, but I do think that the returns of David Montgomery playing a 90% snap share the last 2 weeks have not exactly returned what Nagy and co want. And so I could see Herbert playing a few more snaps this week, but Jamal definitely looks like the guy.
So if we go, how much do you think that these injury statuses are going to confuse a lot of people? If we don't know going into we might not know if Kamara is playing until Sunday night when the actives and inactives are released. Like, that kind of shakes up the slate a lot, because you're banking on one guy, and you could say, hey, I'll use Kamara. If he doesn't play, I'll just use Ingram. That makes a lot of sense, but now you're leaving a bunch of money on the table where that could have been previously allocated. Zeke, maybe we don't know about him until game time. Then everyone's like, all in on Pollard. It's like, oh, now Zeke is playing. What do I do? Do you think that there's a chance to create some leverage with these injury situations?
Yeah, I mean, basically, if you are just committed to having your laptop out at family dinner and running late swaps, especially in an MME set, you are going to have a gigantic advantage over the field because people are going to create their lineups with the idea that either Kamara is in or out, as opposed to having, just strict, having like a 2v2 ready. I think the same thing is true with, and I guess we'll probably know about Cooper or Lamb. We'll probably know about Allen Robinson, but really it is the Kamara situation that I think is going to shake up that is going to dictate the entire slate, because if Kamara plays, he is the best overall play. If Kamara doesn't play, Ingram is probably the second or third best running back play. And I also think that having Kamara in makes Trevor Siemian a slightly better play as well. So I think that will influence the way that I will play a good bit.
Well, don't sleep on old Trevi Siemian, who's been kind of lights out in fantasy the last 2 weeks, despite being horrible.
I mean, he's been throwing a ton. This last week was his first game with over 20 DK points, aided by a rushing touchdown.
Okay, I'm sorry that he had 19.9 the week before.
Yeah, I mean, that's not. I mean, now to your point, 19.9 in the context of this slate, particularly if he gets it, with touchdown, like, Deontay Harris catches one, Marquez Callaway catches one, like, his stacks doing well. Also, another sneaky one, if we're talking about injuries, is if Juwan Johnson plays. He was a healthy scratch last week, but then played in week 10. When he's active, he has like a pretty big impact on Adam Troutman's playing time. Troutman scores his first touchdown of the week last week, but that's another one to monitor.
I thought that he got hurt. He made a fantastic catch in that Eagles game, and then I thought he was dead after he caught it. But it turned out he was fine. It was like in the preseason when he suffered that horrendous injury, and it's like, oh, he's probably done for the year. Then he was just back in week 1. Turns out he's like not good. Remember when he was the thing?
Troutman?
Yeah.
I mean, I remember a little bit of hype about him in best ball season, but I mean, so he's this interesting guy because he went to a college that like barely plays football. So people kind of always like those guys because he went to Dayton.
Is Dayton like a D2 school, like or Division 1 and F or whatever it's called?
I assume they play, like FCS or whatever. I guess I don't know for sure, but I mean they're like a really small like Catholic school.
So what do we do at running back? It seems like Montgomery is pretty locked and loaded here at $6,000. That's a good price for a guy with a ton of volume against a terrible run defense. Like, why isn't that just the play?
I mean, he is, but I mean, I think Tony Pollard is clearly like the best combination of projection, ceiling, the way it can go his way in game, ownership, and price. It just feels, because we saw last week. I mean, in the middle of that game when Dallas started to have a bunch of injuries, they started to play Pollard as a wide receiver in the second half of that game. So I'm pretty in to Tony Pollard, and I think he is kind of one of the few ways that you can generate differences in your lineups this week.
Could you do something as crazy as playing Zeke and Pollard in a lineup? Because I guarantee you very few people will be doing that. And I've seen the double running back combo on slates like this actually do well.
Yeah, I would definitely. So like if I was doing an MME set, I would not make a rule precluding that. I'm hoping that we get, some kind of update about like, oh, this is what the team plans on doing at wide receiver or X, Y, or Z. But basically, I am assuming that this will be close to Pollard's most snaps played this season in terms of percentage. He has been over 39% one time. And that was in a game, where they were like, he got all the work in the second half. But I mean, he's been playing, he is a part of the game plan regardless. And, to your point about cheaper guys, just scoring a touchdown, kind of breaking this late, like Pollard could rip off a 40-yard touchdown, no problem.
It's so stark, the difference between watching Pollard and watching Zeke when they're running the ball. But how much is that? Is it that Zeke is slow? Is Pollard incredibly fast? Or is that just he comes in well rested and he's just so much faster than the gas guys out on the field?
I just think that they play a little bit differently. Zeke is a little bit more patient. Zeke knows that, he can kind of like throw his shoulder into guys and get an extra yard or two. And that's not really Pollard's game. It's also the plays that they call for those guys. Like when Pollard gets the ball, generally it's going to be a sweep or a toss, or he's going outside the tackles. A lot of the time when Zeke is getting the ball, he's going behind the guards, or, they throw the ball to Zeke in the flat where he's already stationary. But when they throw the ball to Tony Pollard, he's generally already moving. But I mean, yeah, clearly Pollard is just much faster and more agile than Zeke at this stage in their careers.
So I think that David Montgomery is probably your safest, best play on this slate for what we know right now going into the week. Guy with all the volume, best matchup. However, Josh Jacobs at $5,900, and I got this from the Mayo Media newsletter. This random fact: Josh Jacobs quietly, Davis, has 5 catches in consecutive games and at least 3 catches in 6 of his past 7 games. He's getting all the goal line work. And fun fact about the Dallas run defense, per PFF, 3rd worst in the league.
Yeah, and Kenyon Drake's role has really diminished. 32% and 31% of the snaps, and targets way down after 45% of the snaps and 8 targets against the Giants, and 39% of the snaps and 3 targets against Philadelphia. So, I mean, the thing with Jacobs is that it really just comes down to, can he score multiple touchdowns?
Yes.
He has 0 games. Yeah, exactly. So he has 0 games with 100 yards from scrimmage this year. And in fact, in week 1 against the Ravens, he did score 2 touchdowns and he only got 17 points. I honestly probably prefer Pollard to Jacobs at what I expect them to be owned. But I do think you are wrong about Montgomery being the best play, because Ingram is the best play
If Kamara is out.
Right. Yeah, but you need to have your lineup. You need to have your lineup structured in such a way that if you're playing in single entry or 3 max, you need to have your lineup. You need to have Buffalo wide receivers in there or whatever, so that you can have your swaps ready.
Because it does seem to me like I don't know if I want to go below Pollard when it comes down to my running backs this week, because there's so much confusion and random chance with the receiving sets this week that's where you want to get like stupid with it, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I would. The thing that will actually probably decide the slate is who is targeted the most and who plays the most out of Cedric Wilson, Noah Brown, or Malik Turner. I mean, that is actually probably likely to be what decides the slate.
Well, let's talk about these receivers then, because it seems like a pay up, and you don't even need, like, Josh Jacobs is $5,900. Like David Montgomery is $6,000. You're not. It's not like you're paying for Christian McCaffrey here, so you can still afford one of the top end receivers and probably still have a ton of money left over if you want it, because Diggs is the most expensive receiver on the board right now. So, and then Lamb, we don't know if he's going to play. Probably not going to play.
He's not going to play.
Is it because you have to wait 5 days after the concussion protocol? Is that why?
I mean, it just like getting back from a concussion is hard anyway. And then to get back from a concussion in 96 hours or whatever is even more difficult. I think it's like 5% or 10% or something that he plays.
And Amari Cooper is out because he's an unvaccinated player and showed up on the COVID list. So he has to be out a minimum of 10 days, correct? Am I, that's all I've seen. So I think that's right, but you never know.
Yeah. He's for sure not playing because he's not vaccinated. Yeah, he's out.
You sound like you're pretty sure of that.
I literally just clicked an article, which was Dak being like, hey, let's be nice to Amari Cooper.
All right, so you got Diggs, probably no Lamb, probably no Cooper, the next 2 highest priced receivers on the slate. Then you got Gallup, Mooney at $5,700. We don't know the status of Allen Robinson yet.
It does not matter. It does not matter.
I completely don't think so. I think if Dalton is starting, Allen Robinson matters if he plays.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm with that, but I'm saying that I don't care if Robinson plays or not. For using Darnell Mooney in DFS this week.
Oh, no. I think that Mooney's probably going to be... Gallup will probably be the highest owned, I'm guessing. Do you think people use? Will people use Diggs
sure.
because they'll have the money to use Diggs?
Yes, and because smart players will understand the correlation between having Diggs available so you can swap to Kamara and down to Marquez Callaway or Emmanuel Sanders.
So Diggs is your flex, is what you're saying.
Or I mean, just for example, Ingram and Diggs is fairly close of a swap between Alvin Kamara and Marquez Callaway. Like, you leave a little bit extra money there, but I think lineups this week are going to leave a bunch of extra money regardless, because there are so many cheap options, and there's a good argument that the Raiders defense at 2,400 might be one of the better points per dollar plays of the slate.
Well, do we think we're getting Tyron Smith back for the game against the Raiders? Because that matters to the Dallas offense. It really seems to affect them.
It definitely matters, but I mean, it matters. The absence of Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb matters way more. Like, I expect them to look pretty shitty, to be honest. I don't see anything. Yeah, I just searched on Cowboys Wire. It didn't say anything about his Thanksgiving availability.
Cedric Wilson, $3,500. Noah Brown, $3,000. Malik Turner, $3,000. Which one you got?
Yep. I mean, Cedric Wilson for sure. Cedric Wilson in the Denver game led the team in snaps at wide receiver. Then he was a fake active in week 10 against Atlanta. So that makes his snap share look weird because he got banged up in practice that week and was active because they needed him in case of emergency. But obviously they won 43-3. So there was no emergency. He was second on the team in wide receiver snaps on Sunday in week 11. I expect their 3 wide receiver set to be Michael Gallup, Noah Brown, Cedric Wilson Jr. with Malik Turner rotating in. And then we'll see a little bit of Sean McKeon rotating in as well.
Would you say that there's any merit to the Malik Turner has a nose for the end zone?
No. I would say the reason why he scored 2 touchdowns in that game against Denver is that Denver had completely stopped trying, and they were just kind of trying to pad Dak's numbers a little bit so that he could theoretically be available to win MVP, but that's not happening now.
You don't think so? Who's going to win MVP then?
Probably Brady, right?
Yeah, he just has to kind of play median Brady.
Yeah, because the guy who should have been, every guy who should have been MVP has lost it at some point. So Kyler should have been MVP, but he has been injured too much.
Yeah, but
Lamar
could Kyler get that back though? Because they're on bye this week. He comes back out of it, and all of a sudden he's like Kyler from the first 6 weeks again for the rest of the season. I still think it's probably his.
The problem is that the voters don't like to vote for guys like Kyler. They would much rather give it to Justin Herbert, Matthew Stafford, or Tom Brady.
They're not going to give it to Aaron Rodgers.
No, Aaron Rodgers is not winning the MVP this year. I think that if the guys who had NFL votes really got their way, they would give it to Stafford. They would find a way to give it to Matthew Stafford. I think that's who the blue checks want to win MVP this year.
Interesting. Okay. It's not going to be Jonathan Taylor. Hate to break it to people. It's not happening.
Yeah, the takes are always bad. They're so bad, always.
I would say that Cooper Kupp has a far more legitimate chance of winning MVP than Jonathan Taylor does.
Correct. Yeah. I mean, Cooper Kupp, maybe he'll get a token vote here or there.
Well, if he ends up with like 2,100 receiving yards or something stupid like that, it's like, oh shit, like it's a lot,
right?
And
did Calvin Johnson get any MVP votes that year that he had all those points?
No, because the thing is, you need to have sort of the perfect storm of other things happening. And if we can't decide if there's any 1 or 2 quarterbacks that are way above, and then there's like 6 guys who are kind of like, then it opens up the door for another position to potentially sneak in. I don't think a receiver's ever won MVP. When was the last 2 running backs to win were AP and Sean Alexander?
The great Don Hudson won in 1942.
There we go. Pre-merger though.
Hate it. Hate the old NFL stuff. The fact every once in a while, like if you look at greatest adjusted yards per attempt of all time. Like some guy from like 1960 is actually the best quarterback. Otto Graham, maybe.
Yeah, I was
Is
gonna
that a guy?
say Otto Graham. I remember having this VHS when I was a kid about the greatest quarterbacks of all time, and it was just Otto Graham. He may have been smoking a cig, standing at like the 40-yard line. It was just him like flat-footed, throwing darts at the end zone, like breaking glass hanging off of the. It was like a little window pane, just flat-footed, dart, broken glass hanging from the uprights. It was pretty awesome.
Proud. I mean, what a memory. It seems like a guy I'd be into. And he's apparently the best quarterback in NFL history.
I mean, you can only judge the people against who they played against, right?
Right, exactly.
I mean, I'm sure he had to have a few games against Night Train Lane. That didn't seem that didn't seem like a lot of fun.
No, playing football back then just like looked miserable. All right, I have a Pat Mayo punt that I'm pretty sure you're going to be into.
Can I give it to you before you give it to me?
Yes.
Zay Jones.
Yep. Literally exactly who it was going to be. I know my guy. Yeah. I knew you were going to be in on Zay Jones.
Well, we both looked at the snap share from Sunday and were like, hey, shit, Zay Jones playing way more
from every game without Ruggs. Like people thought Deshaun Jackson was going to come in and play, but he's just a bit player. Zay Jones is like an every down player.
Yeah, he played more than Renfro did, I think. Yeah, he did. He and Renfro both played 72% of the snaps against the Bengals in pure catch-up situation almost the entire time. Brian Edwards played 83%. So, yeah, why not?
Yeah, no, literally, why not? Like,
well, I can give you a reason.
He's bad.
He struggles to catch the ball when it's thrown to him. That's a problem.
He stinks. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember him from his Bills days. Not good.
Yeah. No, he stinks. I do think probably with there are a bunch of minimum price guys on Detroit. We didn't talk about Josh Reynolds, who led the Lions in snap share at wide receiver last week. I mean, he's stone min. If you really want to test your theory of playing cheap, shitty guys early and then late swapping onto the chalk, Josh Reynolds probably a guy to do that with.
See, I actually think Khalif Raymond is the guy to do that with because apparently, listen, I don't know a ton about Tim Boyle, who it looks like he's going to play. I just want another Thanksgiving with Mr. Blau. Like, can't we get that working again? Isn't he still the backup on that team? He might not be.
He is no, he is still on the team. I looked that up because I knew everyone remembers the best play of David Blau's career, which was that 54-yard just absolute fucking missile to Kenny Golladay in the corner of the end zone. 75 yards. I'm wrong. I mean, just an absolute missile. It really was. It really was unbelievable. That would have been a week where the nuts was that early game. Anthony Miller had 9 for 140 in that game. Allen Robinson had 8 for 86 and a touchdown. I mean, amazing stuff.
So let me sell you on Khalif Raymond in this spot. And some people might say,
he's a slot guy.
I would rather play Raymond from Rain Man over Khalif Raymond. But here's why you wouldn't. Tim Boyle, the one thing that he actually has to his favor is a pretty gigantic arm. And if there's one guy on this team who's just going to run flies down the field and has utmost speed and get behind this defense, it is Raymond. He is their deep threat now that Cephas is gone. And he's also involved in like the kick return team, so maybe you can get like lucky that way with him. And he's so much more expensive than the rest of like the cheap guys and all the Dallas guys that literally no one is going to use him.
So that is 100% accurate. Khalif Raymond is, probably the only player on the slate who has gotten the 100-yard bonus this year and will not be, even 10% owned or whatever. You are accurate in your assessment.
I would say like 10% would be like triple what I'm thinking.
High.
Because he's just too expensive. Yeah. He's 40 and he's only $4,600. He's not expensive. But when you can play all of the Dallas guys and pick your poison with them, you can play the cheaper Detroit guys.
And he's more expensive than Beasley and Gabe Davis, who people will never give up the ghost on. Gabe Davis. I mean, Gabe Davis can be bad for a year straight and people are not going to give up the ghost.
If you want the Bills guy who no one has, who could score, I mean, he's done it before, but
McKenzie.
Yeah, it's McKenzie. Spuds McKenzie is who you want. A nice end around.
Correct.
Don't even need Josh Allen. No one's using McKenzie. Paul will remember this. Paul, was he the one who just randomly fumbled the ball yesterday against the Colts?
Yes, on the kickoff.
Yeah. No one touched him, just, ugh. Rough. Okay.
Which I was watching that and I thought that counted as giving himself up.
I thought so too, but he just dropped the ball.
Yeah.
Not
what you want.
There was some confusing calls. Like kicking was bad in week 11, but I don't think I've seen so many offensive pass interference calls. I watched a lot of the Dolphins-Jets game because I was watching it with Cust and laughing at him the entire time. But like Mike Gesicki got called on 3 offensive pass interference penalties. It was odd.
Yeah, and Dallas Goedert got called for
the push
ticky tack
one
too.
The push off in the end zone that would have been a touchdown.
Yeah. I mean, the officiating, the NFL product right now, I mean, they are really lucky. We are all hopelessly addicted because this is as bad as the product has been in my viewing experience of the NFL. I can't ever remember the games routinely being this bad.
Do you think that the non-daily fantasy, non-betting, non-fantasy person who watches football, which is a ton of people, do you think that they care or notice?
No,
Yeah.
because those people are just unobservant about everything. They only really watch football because they kind of are supposed to, or like their dads did, or, people at their work watch football. Like, they don't really understand anything that's going on. They are passive observers of their own lives.
So Khalif Raymond for me at $4,600 is a play. If Allen Robinson sits, do you think that Marquise Goodwin's going to get a bit too much traction after the long touchdown?
Probably. I mean, what is traction really?
Like, listen. I don't want to play a 14% owned Marquise Goodwin on a
he will not be 14% owned because so much ownership is going to Wilson and Noah Brown. He won't get there.
He's a better play than Noah Brown. You just said the Dallas offense is going to stink.
The issue with Noah Brown is that he's bad. Like he's kind of like the McCole Hardman of the Dallas Cowboys. But I mean, so if he's the McCole Hardman of the Cowboys, does that make him like the homeless man's Laviska Shenault? I guess. Yeah. I mean, he's like not any like I don't know. I didn't even realize he went to Ohio State. He's
the Ohio State, sir.
But the thing is that the Raiders are just like a joke, they're always a joke. And Kellen Moore had basically his worst game as a play caller against Kansas City in that game. And, I don't know, like I have faith that he is a very good play caller. I have faith that Dak is a good quarterback. My expectations as a jaded person are that they are going to be bad, but clearly they have the talent and the skill level, even without Lamb and without Cooper, to be the team that scores the most points on this slate. And that is the way people are going to play it.
Instead of Goodwin, if Robinson sits, Damiere Byrd also, like, they just have deep threat guy. There was no wonder, Fields is connecting on these deep passes, and so did Dalton, obviously, but they have no one to run short routes besides Cole Kmet, who looks like he has lead feet.
Yeah, they don't really, and they kind of have asked Mooney to do that, but he's not really that good. I mean, the offense just doesn't make any sense. The Bears offense is bad, right? Like they just actively are just doing shit that makes no sense. They are playing really low volume. When Fields is in the game, it's like they run on first down, they run on second down, and then he throws incomplete passes to Darnell Mooney's feet on third down. It's just not fun to watch.
All right, so last team, which might actually provide the most bang for your buck, because when this gets updated in the DraftKings system, it might cause it probably didn't actually change all that much because Jonathan Taylor did all the work against the Bills and not the receivers. That when people click on like the Saints receivers' names, they're going to see the big red first on the Bills pass defense, and the Bills defense isn't that good. As we kind of saw when they're playing like good teams, it's not so good.
Spoiler alert: the Cowboys defense is not that good either. People are talking this morning about I think they're now like 11th in DVOA or something like that. Like people just have such a hard time realizing that these teams are just so there are so many bad teams in the NFL that mediocre defenses are looking better.
So where do we go with the Saints? Because I think that like if you want to stack up Saints, that is a pretty contrarian way to play this slate. Don't use Kamara, don't use Ingram, use Simeon and 2 pass catchers, and then chalk rest of the way. You'll be fine.
Yeah, I totally am on board because of all three of the games, I would say this game is the favorite to have the most passing attempts, and the game with the most passing attempts is the game that is most likely to be best for fantasy. You know, outside of the obvious, a reception for any player is worth 1 point. If you add up lots of those receptions, that's good. But passes gain more yards. Passes gain, they're more likely to score a touchdown when one team is passing. It incentivizes the other team to pass. You know, if Buffalo gets up 10-3 here to 14-3, the Saints are going to have to pass. And Buffalo does not really call runs when they're up. So that this is the game, that seems like it's going to be the best.
Yeah, you need the Bills to jump out to a lead here and force the Saints to start passing the ball almost immediately. And then you have Traquan Smith at $4,400. He is the Saints receiver that you want in this game.
Is he?
Yes, he is.
I mean, I feel like Callaway is just like they use him a little bit more in more productive ways. I mean, maybe I'm just a prisoner of the moment because he has scored a touchdown in each of their last 3 games. But I mean, they're really playing about the same. They both play about 80% of the snaps.
Smith on Sunday played almost 100% of the snaps. He was the one who was out there the most. He's scored in 2 of the past 4 games for the Saints. I just think that he...
Yeah, I guess you're right.
He's also cheaper, and he'll be less around.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right. I recant. You do want Traquan. That is correct.
You probably... I mean, if you're playing Callaway, I know he's been scoring the touchdowns, but what you're looking for is like the big play from him.
The big play.
And you can kind of mine that from Deontay Harris, although he's only on the field like half the time.
But he is like, he gets so many targets per routes run. Like you actually, I think Harris and he does punt returns too. Is that, I'm not making that up.
I believe he does kick returns.
Okay. Deontay Harris, Pro Football Reference. Yeah, he is there. He does both. He has 12 punt returns and 21 kick returns. So look, I mean, you're talking about like 0.3% chance or whatever, but that those are a couple extra opportunities for him to generate points.
So Harris and Smith. I think those are the 2 that you'd want to go with on the New Orleans side of the ball. So we basically just talked about every punt receiver you can have. Is there any like receiver that you just need to play because they're too good of a value? Is like Gallup so good of a value you have to play him? Because I could see fading him.
I mean, I will whatever the ownership projection is on Gallup, I'll probably still just play him. But maybe that's bad. Beasley is the one who's going to be just like disgusting chalk.
Yeah, 4,500.
Yeah, he is going to be. He will be the 3rd most owned wide receiver probably after Diggs and Gallup.
So we do think that the most popular stack is Allen, Diggs, Beasley, right?
Yes.
And then after that, it's Dak, Gallup, Wilson?
Schultz, maybe?
Schultz, yeah. Sergeant Schultz.
You know what? I actually think Schultz's price tag people are going to have a hard time clicking on him when he's sandwiched in between Waller and Hawkinson. I actually think Schultz looks like a play here.
It's funny because let's go to receiver tight ends because that was going to be my one note here. Play Schultz. Schultz is in a great spot, in a great matchup, at a good price. Easy.
Yeah, he's probably my favorite play of the slate, I think.
And if you want to get tricky with the Cowboys, if you think they're going to score a bunch of points, Dak, Schultz, and one of the running backs. Don't worry about the other guys.
Well, especially because I do think we're going to see Pollard be like a slot wide receiver here.
And then play Pollard with him, and hopefully that's where you mine that value from is all receiving game.
Yeah, I'm in. I just got to hope Dak doesn't suck or Kellen Moore doesn't suck.
Like, I don't want to play like... I'm always a big fan of the island of Foster Moreau, but I don't think I can live. I can't live with...
He's such a good play, though.
I can't live with the 1 for 7 and a touchdown. Like, that's not even helping me.
1 for 7 and a touchdown out of Foster here at his price. I think that can hit some optimals.
I don't think so unless he was it can't unless every other tight end on the slate busts.
Well, let's play it out here from a salary perspective. So let's say we're gonna go Josh Allen, we're gonna play Kamara, we're gonna play David Montgomery, we're gonna play Diggs, we're gonna play Gallup, we're gonna play Beasley. We'll go what do we say? Raiders defense here. and you can't quite. Can you fit Pollard? Yeah, you can't. Okay, so maybe not. But basically, the way in which Foster hits optimals is that none of Waller, Schultz, Hawkinson, or Knox, beat like 15 or 16. And all, Allen is the guy you need, Kamara is the guy you need, and Diggs is the guy you need. Like the expensive players are the guys who smash.
Yeah, you need every expensive player besides expensive tight ends to be the best players at their position, and Foster Moreau to do something.
That's like showdown logic. That's like getting into the combos, and it's less about who the best plays are and more about which combos are most likely to generate like high-end finishes.
The thing is, I'd rather he's $2,900. I'd rather play a $3,000 receiver and then use one of the good tight ends.
I feel like you're tempting fate with a 2-touchdown Foster as Australian for touchdown game.
Has he ever had 2 in a game?
I have not looked at it, but I would just say he's like 50-50 to have had, because dude, that's just what they do to him. They just throw it to him in the red zone. He has not had a 2-touchdown game, but in his career, he has 48 targets and 10 touchdowns.
Oh my God. There's another Zylstra in the NFL. Apparently there's S Zylstra on Detroit, not to be confused with other Zylstra on Carolina, who gets a shout out in our living room when we're watching the games every single week. It's like, hey, it's Zylstra. He's back. He gets 1 catch he might hold the Larry Fitzgerald record of most consecutive games with a catch, because we notice it every week. We're like, who the fuck is that guy? It's like, oh, it's Zylstra.
Shane Zylstra. Who knew? There was the gross, disgusting tight end. You have to shower yourself if you make it play as Jimmy Graham.
I was gonna say Jesse James.
Yeah, Graham came back and immediately started earning a bunch of targets per route run. Yeah, I don't know. He's got 6 targets the last 2 weeks. I think they're going to target him in the red zone if they ever get there.
Like, we're working under the impression that Dalton is starting, right?
It seems that way because it seems like Fields was getting evaluated for a concussion, right?
I thought it was a groin issue, wasn't it?
Well, shit, I don't know. I also know Nagy doesn't
ribs.
Want to play
Fields. Sorry. It's a ribs issue.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I whatever. Nagy doesn't want Fields to play anyway.
All right. Quarterbacks. So we said Buffalo stack, most popular. Dallas stack, next most popular. Is there a third most popular stack, do you think? Or, I mean, it'll probably be Dalton with
Simeon. No, I was going to say Simeon. I mean, Simeon is the quarterback 3 in fantasy the last 2 weeks.
Okay, but like Jimmy G.
And that game has the highest total.
Jimmy G was number 1 going into last week against Jacksonville. No one played Jimmy G.
Well, yeah. I mean, I would bet that maybe in terms of ownership, it will be no, Simeon is going to be 3rd. He is going to be 3rd in ownership, I think.
More than Carr?
Yeah, I think so.
Then is Carr?
People hate Derek Carr.
But then does that make Carr the play then?
Yeah, you do Carr,
Waller, Renfro.
How about Carr, Waller, Schultz as a weird way with the bring back? How about that lineup combination?
That could work, but then you don't really have that many great. I guess you just play the chalk from all the other ones. That could end up working out. I don't know.
That's actually that is pretty interesting right there. The Waller Schultz. I might do that for my team in the spy or whatever. I like that a lot.
Should we not overthink it? And instead of using David Montgomery, or use David Montgomery, whatever you want to do, if Dalton starts, just use Dalton against by far the worst defense on this slate?
I mean, it seems fine. I think that Dalton probably offers similar ranges of outcomes in this spot to Derek Carr, considering the strength of the matchup. Neither of them run at all. I mean, you just don't feel very good about. I don't feel very good about any of the Chicago wide receivers, really.
I guess the big factor for Simeon in this spot is that's going to be the fastest pace game. That's going to be the game that has the most plays, just based on the Emma, unless the Saints jump up 10-0 and run the ball 400 times. That's how it works, obviously against you here. But Chicago's going to run the ball. Detroit's going to run the ball. It's going to be a really fast game. All Dallas is going to try to do is run the ball, and who knows what's going on with Vegas at this point. That seems like a really fast game. Like you said with the Bills, they just don't run. So the clock is going to be stopped the entire time. If they score some points, we get up to a massive lead. I get it with Simeon in that spot. And then you just have to pray that the Saints stack that you come up with, combined with the Bills players that you use on the bring back, score more than Josh Allen in the reverse. And that probably happens once every 4 times, and the ownership won't dictate that. Like, the ownership will be Josh Allen 8 times more owned, I would say.
Just got to pick I don't know, it's not that hard. You just got to pick the best plays.
Play the best plays?
Yeah, I mean, you just gotta know the guys who are gonna have all the points and play them. It just feels easy,
Yeah. Well, you said Raiders at defense. I think that'll be too easy for people.
And just super popular, I'll tell you the defense that people are not going to play is going to be the Saints.
I was going to say the Saints is probably the play. The Saints or the Bears are the play here.
No, Saints are big time. The play. I also think, the Lions seem fine. It's not like Dalton is not going to throw interceptions, not going to eat sacks.
Yeah,
I think every normally on Thanksgiving, like one of the defenses or 2 of the defenses seems completely unplayable. I think honestly the only defense I'm not really that into playing here is the Cowboys.
I honestly, with defense being so unpredictable, I would almost say, hey, leave $3,300 in any lineup that you build for a defense, and then just play the same lineup 6 times with 6 different defenses, and hopefully
different defenses.
And just hopefully you luck out.
Yeah. Yeah.
I might actually do that in 3 max. Just build the same core lineup of 8 guys with 3 different defenses.
Look, that is the defense and tight end are just like the most random outcomes here, right? That are just, it's really all about, touchdowns and really low frequency events. So I can't say it's bad.
It's time, Davis. We need to play the best plays. We need to be like, oh shit, the game's starting in 10 minutes. Oh man, I'm on the can. I'm taking.
Oh my gosh, we're Thanksgiving shitter guy.
The Thanksgiving shitter guy. I got to clean out my stomach before I get to the turkey, and before I get like too hammered watching Bears and Lions. So we got to play the best plays. That's how this works. So who are the best plays this week?
All right. Well, shitter guy is 1,000,000,000% playing Josh Allen, guaranteed.
Okay. Josh Allen, Steph Diggs, right? Cole Beasley.
Yeah.
Is there a chance that shitter guy doesn't play Steph Diggs?
Maybe if we get into it and we're having trouble, with salary or whatever, maybe. But shitter guy is definitely opening up his phone, opening up the DraftKings app on his shitter, clicking the Millionaire Maker, and going Allen, Diggs, Beasley.
Okay, Allen, Diggs, Beasley, David Montgomery, 100% in that lineup.
Yes,
let's
absolutely. Now, does shitter guy click Kamara and hope he plays, or does he click Ingram?
Davis, shitter guy is not making a late swap, so Kamara would have to. Kamara would have, and listen, shitter guy is doing this 10 minutes before lock, so
he knows.
We might know about Kamara by then. So if Kamara is playing, Kamara is in.
Let's click Ingram. Let's click Ingram because right now shitter guy's looking at his phone and he sees the big red out by Kamara.
All right, defense. Raiders defense, right?
That's Raiders defense.
That's going to be the talk.
Yes.
Michael Gallup is definitely a play.
Yes.
So 5,900. That leaves us with 4,650 for a tight end and a flex.
So I think.
Who is the cheap, popular, low end wide receiver?
At this point,
is it Ced Wilson?
I was gonna say, yeah, that one of the cheap Cowboys wide receivers. So let's go Cedric Wilson.
And then at tight end, that leaves us.
We're short of Darren Waller though.
Yeah, everyone besides Waller is available. We could just continue to overload with Dawson Knox, Hawkinson in the first game.
Yeah, people just know his name, right? Like, oh, Hawkinson.
Yeah, and listen, I need people from every team because that's the only way that can work.
Yes, correct.
So shitter guy this lineup's actually pretty good. Allen, Montgomery, Ingram, Diggs, Beasley, Gallup, Hawkinson, Cedric Wilson, Raiders defense. 600 left on the table. Although shitter guy does love using all of his money. So who can you upgrade to? You could use Bears D against the Lions. D. Bears D it is.
That's even more of a shitter guy because he's like, I know this Tim Boyle guy and he sucks.
Yeah, there we are. Boom. $1 million.
And shitter guy, if he wants, can go if he remembers, if he's not passed out on the couch at 7 p.m. Central Time, he can swap in the late game to play Alvin Kamara and Emmanuel Sanders if he wants.
There we go. That's the shitter guy lineup for Thanksgiving. Not a bad lineup. It's going to be hard to make lineups you look at and you're like, this sucks. It's kind of easy this week to fit in all the guys that you want.
Those are probably the ones that look shitty, though. I mean, those are the ones that are good because those are the ones that don't get entered.
Oh, 100%. Like I am like in my single entries this week for Thanksgiving, I'm entering like it worked out so well on Sunday for me. Like I was telling you before we came on, it was not a great Sunday for me. It was my worst betting week of the season. But I actually I didn't win on DraftKings, but I got enough back because all of the highest stakes single entries that I played were all Tua stacks and not Mahomes and Dak stacks. That's where I lost the rest of my money. But the Tua stacks came through.
I mean, that's a blessing. Would you play? You play Mac Hollins, bro?
No, it was Tua, Waddle, Gesicki with Crowder on the bring back, and then that was so cheap you could just pay up for everyone else. But no Jonathan Taylor.
There you go.
Tough scene, Jonathan Taylor. But I did play Nick Chubb, who had 25 points, and no one really noticed.
Yeah, he had a great game.
Yeah. And so did Swift. I mean, we didn't even talk about Swift this entire time. He's like the most legitimately talented guy on the slate at running back.
Yeah, Swift is a total jam. And I think you can even play him and Jamal Williams together even.
Yeah, if you did want to save all that money. Anyway, that will do it on the Thanksgiving show. Everyone have a very happy and safe and fun Thanksgiving. We will have the spread pick show for Thanksgiving out on Monday evening or Tuesday morning, I believe. So check that out. I'm giving 3 people $100 if they rate the Pat Mayo Experience on Apple Podcasts, 5 stars, something nice, Twitter handle so I can let you know, or email if that's just easier for you. I'm happy my voice is back, and we are going to have a special TakeCast / Corona Cast coming out on Thanksgiving morning. Is that when we're going to release it?
Let's do Wednesday morning so people can have it while they travel.
Okay.
Does that work for you?
I'll release it on my feed on Thursday morning.
There we go.
I'll give you the 1-day exclusive on the TakeCast where we
amazing. That's what you want.
We just talk about some random shit.
Yeah.
So go subscribe to the TakeCast right now, and let me guess, you're on TV all the way up. This is actually, we'll probably talk about this on the TakeCast, but this is such a great week for me to press because being Canadian, it's not really a holiday up here.
You don't have to do shit.
I have the content slate to myself because everyone is just on vacation.
Yep, I am on vacation Thursday and Friday. Still working Wednesday though.
All right. Well, have a very happy holiday. People can hear us talk on Wednesday on your show, Thursday on my show. Subscribe to both while you're at it too. Rate and review both while you're at it. Davis isn't giving away money like I am, but hey, you can help him out by leaving a 5-star review.
Maybe someday.
Maybe someday. Maybe you'll be just give people crypto. You have tons of that.
I will never.
Tell people.
I would never.
Tell people you will pick one person. You will give like 5 of the 12 seed phrases to, and they can try to figure out the rest.
Oh my god, dude! We'll talk about it.
We'll talk about it. All right, that will do it on the Pat Mayo Experience. Smash the like on the way out, sub to the newsletter, and I will see you next time.
Pat Mayo Experience.